The Matrix Resurrections, the fourth movie in the legendary franchise, dropped last year to mixed reviews. The Lana Wachowski movie was criticized in some quarters, but lauded in others, so it's probably best if you just make up your own mind. And hidden inside the movie were a ton of Easter eggs and things that you might not have seen on first inspection. Today, we are discussing the Matrix Resurrections Easter eggs and things you might have missed. Stay tuned. Let's start at the beginning with the opening sequence. As you may have noticed from the very beginning of The Matrix Resurrections, there are a ton of similarities to the original, whilst at the same time being completely independent of it, which is pretty weird. Of course, there's the trickle of code we see on the title card, which, as we know, is a sign of rebellion or resurrection. And there's a pretty obvious mirroring with the opening conversation between the members of the Nemo sign, which is supposed to directly mirror the conversation we see between the Nebuchadnezzar members in The Matrix. Both parties are dead set on finding Neo, but will they ultimately get their wish in the newest installment? Then there's the Heart of the City callback. The opening of the new movie takes place in a motel, which is the same as the original. The Heart of the City Hotel is just one of those small details which endears fans to the new movie. We then hear Morpheus uttering the same words that Smith used in the first movie, when he says, "Your men are already dead." What Easter eggs or other hidden secrets did you notice in the opening sequence of Resurrections? Let us know below. Next up, a clear link to Sense8 and Bound. During another scene early on in the movie, when Bugs is being chased by the agents at the cinema, we see a movie advertised outside the theater. The movie is called Root of All Evil and features an actor called Lito Rodriguez. More on that in a second. Now, as we all know, the Matrix movies are constantly referencing and or disparaging of capitalist societies. And what is money often referred to? The root of all evil, of course. And there is another pretty big Easter egg in this scene. The star of the movie being advertised, Lito Rodriguez, is actually a character in both seasons of Sense8, which also happens to be a Wachowski production. Played by Miguel Silvestre, is thrust into the lives of people he doesn't know, and they must all figure out how they're connected. And that isn't the only Sense8 reference. There are plenty of crossover actors from Sense8 in The Matrix Resurrections, and these characters are profiled as part of Deus Machina's marketing specialists. There are plenty of crossover actors from Sense8 in The Matrix Resurrections, and these characters are profiled as part of Deus Machina's marketing specialists to the Nemesine Resistance members. The Wachowski links don't end with Sense8 either. There's also a pretty blatant link to 1996 neo-noir crime thriller Bound. The movie follows Corky, the lesbian ex-con who is embroiled in a love affair with Violet, a gangster's girlfriend. Fans of the most recent Matrix movie noticed a shop sign in the background for Corky's massage spa and salon, which features a Labras, which is also tattooed on Corey's arm in the movie. Did you notice any of these? We have a Fortnite link now. Stay with us. In the scene where we see the people in Neo's office evacuating, a team member suddenly appears out of nowhere. This team member is played by the real-life chief creative officer of Epic Games, who also develops the world-renowned Fortnite games. But why? What can Donald Mustard, the man who plays the team member, possibly be doing in The Matrix Resurrections? Well, it just so happens that there's a pretty clear link between the Matrix franchise and Epic Games. The video game developer recently helped launch the groundbreaking interactive tech demo entitled The Matrix Awakens. There's also another subtle video game nod. In Thomas's office, there's a trophy which shows The Matrix winning Game of the Year back in 1999. Have you guys noticed any other tech or video game links in the newest Matrix movie? Let us know below. Next up, we're talking Alice in Wonderland and Project MK Ultra. Stay with us. As you will be well aware of, if you've seen just one movie in the franchise, there are references to Alice in Wonderland all over the Matrix franchise. In the original, we see Morpheus refer to Neo as Alice before asking him if he would like to go deeper down the rabbit hole, and Resurrections is no different. Bugs has a pretty obvious tattoo of a white rabbit, and we also see another of the main characters, Sati, reading Lewis Carroll at one point in the film. And then there's the Jefferson Airplane classic White Rabbit, which is playing over too subtly, or not so subtly if you get the reference, showing how the loop of the Matrix can be so tiresome. We are also pretty sure the mirrors acting as portals are somehow suggesting through symbolism that reality hopping could be possible. We can also see a maze design in Neo's wallpaper. This again harks back to Alice in the Labyrinth, suggesting Neo himself is either lost or supposedly a similar character to Alice. We can also see a framed blue monarch butterfly in the analyst's office. During the CIA's much maligned Project MK Ultra, the blue butterfly was seen as a symbol of mind control, dissociation, and brainwashing, which is the overarching theme of the Matrix franchise. Did you notice the Alice in Wonderland references? We're discussing the links to the trilogy now. Stay tuned. Of course, we know that lots of the scenes in the newest installment are designed to mirror sequences or beloved, or maybe not, characters from the trilogy. In the original, we hear Neo mention a noodle joint. This little snippet is mirrored in Resurrections in the noodle joint which Neo patronizes in the latest movie, the place owned by Sati. In the noodle place, we can see a quote from Americana written by Dom DeLillo. The quote reads, "It is easier to bury reality than to dispose of dreams." We believe this is designed and placed here as a preview of Neo and Trinity's end, and also serves as a social commentary. Of course, the dream to be something more is pretty much impossible to rid themselves of, even if their memories are repressed. This has the knock-on effect of burying their realities for the moment, but they always want to get back to taking ownership of their own lives. We also see Neo chowing down on a pretty hefty-looking steak, which is an obvious nod back to the original, specifically Cypher, who mentioned the comforts of the Matrix and how it was designed with the sole purpose of keeping the mind that had the ability to incite change trapped in suffering, continually chasing a happiness which will never arrive. The concept of binaries is up next. Don't go anywhere. The complicated, nuanced relationship between Neo and Smith is evidence that Resurrections asks audiences to search within the space between binaries, as they eventually become allies, at least a short time anyway. And it is this concept of binaries that is super important when it comes to examining the Matrix movies, whether that be the relationship and interactions between humans and machines, binary code, gender identity, or whatever. It is also reflected in the human habitation of I.O., which omits the entry points in the word Zion and other visual and narrative cues, such as the name of Neo's game. But by far, the biggest example of the use of binaries is how the One is referenced. Neo and Trinity are able to band together in the latest movie, overcoming systematic manipulation, which allows them to share powers that we might traditionally attribute to the anomaly of anomalies. And finally, a pretty big snub for our man Keanu. Stay tuned. Following Keanu's recent support for Tibet earlier in the year, Chinese authorities have made the decision to pull all of Reeves' movies from Chinese streaming platforms, such as Tencent. Back in January, it was announced that Keanu would be performing at the 35th annual Tibet House benefit concert, to the obvious ire of the CCCP. The event took place online for the second year in a row due to COVID concerns, but this was not enough to save the actor from being protested by Chinese nationalists. China still claims Tibet as part of its boundaries, and anything other than complete subservience is seen as treason. And following Reeves' support of the breakaway state, all of his movies have now been removed. That is, apart from Toy Story 3, in which he just lends his voice. China operates a zero-tolerance policy on celebrities who speak out in support of Tibet, and in the past, actors such as Richard Gere have even lost roles due to their staunch support and close ties to the Dalai Lama. It really is a pedantic standpoint by the Chinese government, and ultimately, it says more about their fragility more than it does of Reeves' political views. What do you make of this? Let us know below. As always, thanks for stopping by today, and remember to join us next time for some more fun and games. Also, why not do us a favor by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel? Adios, amigos!